Hello and welcome this beautiful morning to Hude Hour right here on Hude Network. As always, we bring you developments in the humanitarian and development space. We break them down and also we chart a course forward in terms of solutions and addressing the problems that beguile us. Welcome once again. I am Amadine Ogbewe.
And I am Joan Eze. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. Hi, Amadine. How are you doing today?
I'm good. And you?
I'm great.
It is a beautiful morning, isn't it?
Of course, it is.
Yeah. Whenever you're in the space of pushing development, ensuring progress is made, it should be an interesting thing, shouldn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, that's not discounting the fact that there's a lot of work that goes into it, and people have to try again and again. You know, in the famous words of when you encounter obstacles, fail again, fail better, just keep doing it, keep trying. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So let's keep trying, and hopefully we get there. Today, the advocacy is for local manufacturing of solar powers and panels and batteries in our own space. Now, solar power is one of the world's fastest growing energy sources. But behind the panels and clean electricity lies a complex global supply chain, one that often leaves developing nations and indigenous communities out of the benefits.
As the push for 100% clean energy accelerates, there's a need to question who makes the technology and who bears the cost. For many resource-rich but economically developing nations, this is a moment of opportunity. Despite supplying critical materials, most developing nations, including in Africa, lack the industrial base for solar panel manufacturing and are not benefiting from value-added processes.
Now, if developing countries are to truly benefit from the clean energy transition, there must be investment in local manufacturing, not just mining.
Well, that's how to close the gap. And indigenous communities must be treated not as obstacles, but as partners with consent, respect, and access to the economic gains of this energy revolution.
In this edition of Hude Hour, we explore how local manufacturing is driving solar and battery innovation in developing nations. We dig into the gaps holding back productivity, like limited infrastructure, raw material dependencies, and high production costs. And we spotlight the solutions needed to scale up from strategic investments and ethical sourcing to engineering talent and technology transfer. But before that, let's take a look at the headlines on the latest developments. Now, first, we have the REA, that is the Rural Electrification Agency, backs local solar panel production in Lagos. In other news, NEC, that is the National Executive Council, urges states to adopt Naseni innovations for economic growth. Now, we'll go on a quick break. When we return, we'll delve into more. Don't go anywhere. Now, to some key facts and statistics. According to the U.S. Department of Energy, developing countries supply key raw materials such as lead, copper, and other essential for manufacturing solar panels.
Indeed, the Institute for Human Rights and Business says indigenous communities are often affected as 47% of the top undeveloped copper reserves lie on indigenous lands and 65% are in high water risk areas and biodiversity zones.
Now, we'll get more into this after the break. Don't go anywhere. So our first news item, the Rural Electrification Agency is ramping up support for solar panel manufacturing in Lagos as the federal government prepares to phase out the importation of photovoltaic panels following the revelation that over 200 billion naira has been spent on solar imports. The initiative forms part of a broader national strategy to promote local production and industrial self-reliance in the renewable energy sector. In a major step forward, the REA and the Lagos State government recently signed a memorandum of understanding aimed at expanding electricity access in underserved rural areas. Lagos, known as Nigeria's commercial and innovation hub, is poised to lead the transition. A key milestone includes a solar panel assembly facility in Ikotun, which, with REA backing, has grown its capacity from 10 megawatts to 100 megawatts. In addition, REA announced plans to finalize a joint development agreement with Greenwald for a $150 million lithium battery assembly plant in Lagos, underscoring the push to build a sustainable, locally driven, clean energy ecosystem. The federal government's import-exit plan aligns with policies from the Ministry of Science and Technology and efforts by agencies like NASENI to meet local solar product demand. However, industry stakeholders remain divided over the approach. The federal government has, however, clarified that the ban on imports will not be happening soon. The Renewable Energy of Nigeria, that is our Renewable Energy Association, of Nigeria, REAN, cautioned that a premature ban on imports would, without sufficient domestic capacity, could slow sectoral growth. They advocate a balanced policy that supports local manufacturing while maintaining access to global supply chains, with solar energy playing a vital role in powering homes, businesses, schools, and health facilities, especially in off-grid communities. Experts say the success of Nigeria's solar industrialization would depend on how well the government aligns its ambitions with market readiness and production realities. I think basically Lagos is not really much of a surprise that Lagos would be leading this push, because again, that's the business capital, the economic capital of the nations. So you would expect to see a whole lot of investments and a whole lot of need for not just energy, but clean energy there. And I think it also goes to the fact that, because we have the REA involved in this, so eventually they are not strictly going to stick to an urbanized plan. The point is also to get to people where the power is not there, and they have to put these things in place to ensure that it works. And so it's something we look forward to seeing how it develops. And I think my own perhaps curiosity is I'm hoping that Lagos is being put at the forefront doesn't mean that other states should perhaps relax. There's always been this question about who will compete, who will do their best to fill in the gap being left behind. So I do hope other states are, I mean, some of them have actually done some of these things, but we're expecting we see more action. You know, when memorandums are signed, let's see follow-up, let's see how you develop. We have a number of programs the RA has done that has reached the 6 geopolitical zones. So we want to see who is following closely behind, so that at the end of the day, we're having a horizontal growth and not just, some person growing and others not.
Yeah, speaking of growth, I think I will come in the angle of the GDP. When things are being produced in the country, it increases the gross domestic product and it enhances the economic factor or sector of that particular country. And seeing things like this, for me, it's a good step to take to encourage localization, production of this. And there's something that really struck my attention from the RIAN, and they said that, okay, there is not going to really be a fast ban by the federal government saying that there will not be a ban on importation, but there should be a striking balance. We'll still be producing here, we'll still be importing, but at a point, we will get to a point where there will not be importation anymore, and we will now be the one to be exporting. Indeed. So that's one
and
angle.
the federal government also clarified that they're not banning anything.
They're not banning anything right now. Yeah, very important to note. Well, we'll go on a break, and when we come back, we will move to the next news item that we have. Just stay with us. You're welcome back. The National Executive Council of Nigeria, NEC, has called on state government to adopt and invest in homegrown technological innovations developed by the National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure, NASENI. as part of efforts to fast-track Nigeria's industrial development and economic diversification. The directive came during the 146th NEC meeting held at the Presidential Villa, Abuja, and chaired by the Vice President, Kashim Shettima. At the meeting, Naseni's Executive Vice Chairman, Khalil Suleiman Halilu, presented a strategic roadmap detailing the agency's projects across sectors, including renewable energy, biotechnology, agriculture, transportation, and digital technology. Among the key innovations highlighted were electric vehicles for sustainable mobility, solar-powered systems for rural electrification, and smart devices tailored to local market needs. Naseni is also spearheading projects like solar irrigation pumps and coal-based fertilizers to boost agricultural productivity. The council applauded Naseni's contributions, including its ongoing work on vaccine production facilities, renewable energy parks, and compressed natural gas (CNG) centers. It also noted the agency's success in attracting $3.23 billion in investment and its launch of the Delta program to empower female engineers. To further support these efforts, NEC directed Naseni to expand lithium battery manufacturing in resource-rich areas and intensify the National Asset Restoration Program to refurbish tractors nationwide. The council emphasized the need for stronger partnerships between Naseni, state governments, and the private sector to establish manufacturing industries that utilize local raw materials and generate employment. Additionally, NEC underscored the importance of policy support, improved infrastructure, and simplified regulatory processes for seamless implementation. This includes facilitating access to land and seaports and setting up showrooms to showcase Nigerian-made products. Well, Amadine, I see this as a good news for Nigerians, and this particular Naseni is covering literally all sectors. And one part of it is electrification, that is to bridge the gap in the electrification electricity supply or electricity access. And you see, when there is enough of this electricity on ground, agriculture it will go in on the high side. And also the electric vehicles to aid transportation is also a good step to take, because you can imagine where we are and where we want to move to. The whole clean energy we are clamoring for, trying to cut down on the climate change and the fossil fuels that it does to the atmosphere and all. And, you know, transforming or transiting to this particular angle, for me, is a good step to take. And when this is being adopted and utilized, a lot of people will get involved, and also state governments are also involved or encouraged to participate and to adopt this particular process.
Yeah, indeed. The NEC, that's the executive, you know, those are the people you want at the forefront of this, because when the government is not active or is not actively pushing for homegrown solutions and all of that, you know, there's little people on their own can do. People can't build, but, you know, like we've been hearing for years, probably decades, enabling environments, you know, allowing people to be able to do what they need to do. And part of that can also involve encouraging that or pushing people towards purchasing or what's the word? There's a word for patronizing, that's the word. Patronizing homegrown solutions and all of that. So I think it's something that we will also talk about when our guests come on board, particularly the Executive Order 5, and how it's trying to ensure that homegrown solutions are key. And Naseni has always been about that. They want everything to be done here. But again, like we saw in the first news item, a balance needs to be met. But there is no downside to the National Executive Council promoting these things, calling for more of it and all of that. So I think it's something where the private bodies now will join their voices, and let's see what together we can achieve. So we'll go on a break now. When we return, we'll be joined by our first guest of the day. He is Godwin Alomaja. He is the CEO for DG Power Solution. He's an engineer, electrical engineer, and also an expert when it comes to solar panels and batteries. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Every day, amazing stories of hope and tenacity unfold across the globe. On Hude Hour, we dive into these inspiring tales and discuss the vital work being done in the humanitarian and development space. Humanity has never faced a shortage of challenges, yet we rise stronger through teamwork and determination. Though these remedies are often underreported, on Hude Hour, we advocate sustainable solutions. We bring you the latest and most impactful news on how lives are being changed. We engage with young change makers and experts who provide valuable insights into relief efforts and the challenges faced by local communities through a global perspective. Join us every Wednesday by 8 a.m. on Hude Network's YouTube channel as we embark on this journey of positive change.
Culture connects us beyond borders. It's a bridge between traditions, creativity, and the future.
Culture is alive, shaping identities and communities every day.
Art tells stories of resilience and vision.
Artists blend tradition with innovation.
Cultural preservation creates sustainability and empowerment.
Culture evolves and adapts.
Music and dance unites communities through movement.
And right here, in the heart of our cities, artists and creators are keeping these cultures alive.
On Culture Cove, let's explore,
Celebrate
And preserve the arts and culture that define us. Welcome back. Now, Godwin Alomaja has joined us in the studio now. Like I said, he's an engineer, electrical engineer. He's also an expert when it comes to solar panels and batteries. He's the CEO of DG Power Solutions. Welcome to the program.
Welcome.
Thank you.
It's
Good to have you.
Nice having you.
All right. First of all, I must commend you coming into Abuja just to come and join us this morning. So let's get a quick overview of what it looks like on the ground level. Local battery panel manufacturing. What is the state of things right now so that we can even know where to start?
All right, thank you. Okay, when we're talking about local manufacturing here in Nigeria, right? Okay, we also, as it stands now, we have some company or some group of people that are into the manufacturing, but all the resources are not locally sourced from here. So that's the challenge we have. They still have to partner with a company outside the country due to some factors militating against production in Nigeria. Even though we have some, like the lithium, you see, we have lithium where we announced lithium here, I think Nasarawa. But we
You're talking about the natural resources.
Yes, the natural resources. When we're talking about renewable energy, either from the solar or from water or from wind. So, but we are talking about solar here now. So, when we are talking about solar, it is set up, it's a whole system which comprises of different sections. We have the battery sector, we have the inverter itself, we have the solar panel that is charging the battery. So the complete sector now makes the solar system. Why we say the solar system, renewable energy. So, but what I was talking about is that here we have some natural resources in Nigeria, even oil, but we have to export. But thank God for Dangote that has been able to break through the land. But in the area of power sector, we still have that challenge. We still have to export. Then we have to import the lithium battery. That is the complete system. So we still have to import it due to some limitations that surround the productive factor in Nigeria.
But does it still count as manufacturing? I mean, there are other countries who also import some parts and then assemble. So what's the difference between manufacturing and, say, assembling?
So manufacturing, that's the process of building the system. Like you build it from scratch using raw materials. But when we're talking about installing, right? So we have some group of people that are into installation. So there are another group of people into maintenance. So, but what I'm saying is that in Nigeria, in the terms of manufacture, we are not there yet. We are still struggling to meet up because of so many challenges we are having.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to come in the angle of challenges you face. I want you to literally go deep into the challenges you literally face in sourcing these materials when it's time for manufacturing. What are those challenges you face?
Okay, thank you. We have so many challenges, but I will just mention a few because of our time. There's a lack of raw material. No access to raw material. Like I earlier mentioned, there are also this exchange rate is really affecting because we have to bring in some things. Everything cannot be done here. We have to ship in some components. Take, for instance, you want to build a circuit now, you need a resistor, you need a capacitor, a system, IC, so all those things have to be shipped. But recently we have inflation, which is affecting the economy. So that also affects the manufacturing process by the time also the time, because you have to place order, you have to wait till your order arrives, then clearing duties, custom duties, all those things, they are really militating against the manufacturing process. So
from what I understand, you're talking about having access to the things you need. Does that mean there's no skill gap? If all these things are available, are all our engineers, because what we're talking about now is trying to drive solar through trying to drive local manufacturing through engineering. So I'm wondering, what is your comments on whether there is enough skill set to even utilize these things if they are available, if they are brought in?
Yeah, of course, there's enough skill set. As far as Nigeria is concerned, Nigerians are skillful. In fact, I was invited to these people that used to promote the university, tertiary institution, is it PTF? There's this body that they used to fund university.
TED Fund.
Thank you, TED Fund. Okay. In fact, I was wowed when I got to we held it Eagle Square here in Abuja. In fact, I saw a lot of things that they say, wow, so all these things are made in Nigeria. So that means we have the skills, we have the talent, we have all it takes. But reaching out, we still have limitations, we still have barrier that needs to be broken before we can harness all these things and make progress.
All right. Maybe I should ask, are there any ways you've personally found to sort of cut through some of these challenges? You've mentioned Nigerians are skillful. Another thing Nigerians are known for is being resilient and finding solutions where there might be problems. So what ways are you finding to be able to still assemble these things even through some of these challenges?
Well, even though, before I answer that, I would like to say that, we have some challenges also as regards sale of the products made in Nigeria. I hope you agree with me that here in Nigeria, we don't value our products. Yes, some people, once they say made in Nigeria, no, they will prefer to go for made in China.
So there's a perception issue here.
Exactly. That's another issue we are facing. So that really discourages manufacturing things in Nigeria. Like for me, for instance, the last time you engaged me based on my innovation on the ATS, you remember?
Yes.
So I actually built the device for a government agency, until I tell you, till now, nothing has been done. They only appreciated, gave award, and in fact, the award was even taken, and they said they want to sign, but till now, they have not even given me the award back. So those are some of the discouragement we got here. So that's enough. In fact, we are not getting the encouragement enough from the government. Though the program I earlier told you about was organized by the government agency, that they can still do more by sending people. It's not bad if government can fund some persons, some skilled guys outside the country to go and learn more.
They are doing that, actually, but to an extent.
Okay. Yes, they can still do more. They can still do more so that we harness what we have. Because as it stands, we have some natural resources where it's been sourced in Nigeria here.
Well, I'm interested in perhaps a situation where you try to do something, you met a bottleneck, and you had to find a way to solve it locally here. Maybe there was a particular, because the event you spoke about, what we see is people using things that you did not expect to be used for certain things.
Yes.
So we saw someone make a drone in, I think, Nasarawa also, using local materials or recyclable materials. So have you encountered such, and how were you able to come out of it?
Okay. Take for instance, the ATS I designed last time. When I designed it, it was only, that one, it actually works with the generator, whereby once the national grid is restored, they shut down the gen. But once the national grid is off, I need something to trigger the gen. So that was actually a challenge for me that time. I remember far back 2018, while I was designing a circuit like that, we had to make research with much brainstorming. So I was able to order for some components, which will allow me to reach my goal. So what I did is that stuff is used for another purpose there. I mean, outside the country. But the only thing I did is to just bring it in, then rewire it to suit my own purpose here.
Okay.
You understand?
Yes.
And that is innovation.
It was meant for something else, but you found a different use for it.
Exactly. So that is innovation. You get it. So we have so many challenges. In fact, as far as I'm concerned, assuming I have the opportunity enough, probably I would have gone further than this, or I would have even invented some other things, probably. But at some point, like I was discussing with you over the phone the other day, that I got discouraged. In fact, I said I will not do any of these things again. Like, let me just face my white-collar job and forget about,
Well, that was then. You've changed your mind.
You've changed your mind.
Because we do need you to continue.
Exactly.
Because,
sure.
If you were following, part of our news item was the different ways the government is trying to encourage engineers and local production and all of that. So maybe John has one more question before we round up.
Okay, so we've talked about, you said Nigerians are resilient people and they are skillful.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. And you also made mention of people's perception of Nigerian-made products.
Yes.
My first question is, what exactly why the perception? After that, then I'll ask my next question.
Okay, thank you. See, if in Nigeria, okay, let's for instance, I design a voltage regulator, or let's say we usually call it a stabilizer. It regulates voltage. My own package, that's the major concern. My own package cannot be compared to that of a Chinese. By the time we import the same products, in fact, the difference is clear. You would like to go for that because that one looks more attractive in terms of packaging and in terms of function, different function, everything in place. But here in Nigeria, due to a limitation, we can only build based on, due to the reach of the components, we can't go beyond what we don't have. So you make use of what is available. So if I build a device like that, it doesn't really, the package is not really attracting, unlike that of.
But
then we also need to talk about the size. It's so bulky. If a China man now design maybe, let's say a device, let's say 3.5 kVA, if I want to design it here in Nigeria, 3.5 kVA inverter, in fact, it can be as big as this table. But if a China man builds it, it can just be like this system, like so compactable, and so the functions top notch.
But speaking of knowledge-wise now,
yes,
do engineers actually have that same kind of skill, or will I say knowledge, that the people outside, I mean in China and other countries, have?
Okay.
Is it just the components?
What would it take for you to create some? You've named differences.
Yeah.
What would it take for you to create the version that is
exactly?
Yeah.
Exactly.
The one we are
Something
Yes.
like that.
Yes.
That's
or
the
similar.
packaging,
Yeah.
the
Compatibility.
all of that.
I say we have to partner with maybe, when you want to build a device, we have the circuit inside, we have the box, maybe the enclosure. So probably if I can partner with a company that's into that enclosure, building the enclosure, yes, that will really, that will look attractive. So the component inside, in fact, if I must tell you, some Nigerian-made products, they are even more rugged. Yes, they are more
better.
rugged. Yes,
Yeah,
better.
better.
They are better off, but only the packaging. If we can actually work on the casing, we are good to
So
go.
the functioning, the capacity is the same thing.
Exactly.
Just the packaging that is different.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's fair enough. It's good to hear because it's a problem that can be solved.
Yeah.
If you have said it's something that can never be done, that would be another issue. But I do think maybe when you mentioned maybe there still needs to be some, like you said, the government or other people sending more engineers abroad to get more knowledge and build. Because if you are doing all of this with the knowledge you have here and not having access to some skills and some technologies out there, it means much more could be done. So thank you so much for coming, Godwin. Do you have something else to say?
Yes, you please permit me to say, if you have ever noticed, have you seen someone, an innovator here in Nigeria, that a white man came and bargained with him, okay, we need you out there. So why do they have to do that? That means we are in capacity. Yes, they know that, these guys, they know what they're doing. It's only that the environment, that's the limitation, and the environment is not really helping for them to explore. So that's to tell you that we have the idea, we have the knowledge, only that we are limited.
Thank you so much for that. That's what we're doing. We're trying to provide solutions, and we do hope all of these gets to the right place at the end of the day so that we can get some solutions to work for everybody. Now, we'll go on a quick break now. We will be joined by our next guest. He is the COO of C Solar. He's also an engineer himself. He's a renewable energy expert. So he'll be joining us on the program right after Godwin Alomaja, and then we'll have the discussion on some other aspects of renewable energy, local production, and how we can ramp up efforts, not just in terms of the technical capacities, also in terms of frameworks, strategies, policies that can help build this local manufacturing sector. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Every day, amazing stories of hope and tenacity unfold across the globe. On Hude Hour, we dive into these inspiring tales and discuss the vital work being done in the humanitarian and development space. Humanity has never faced a shortage of challenges, yet we rise stronger through teamwork and determination. Though these remedies are often underreported, on Hude Hour, we advocate sustainable solutions. We bring you the latest and most impactful news on how lives are being changed. We engage with young change makers and experts who provide valuable insights into relief efforts and the challenges faced by local communities through a global perspective. Join us every Wednesday by 8 a.m. on Hude Network's YouTube channel as we embark on this journey of positive change.
Culture connects us beyond borders. It's a bridge between traditions, creativity, and the future.
Culture is alive, shaping identities and communities every day.
Art tells stories of resilience and vision.
Artists blend tradition with innovation.
Cultural preservation creates sustainability and empowerment.
Culture evolves and adapts.
Music and dance unites communities through movement.
And right here, in the heart of our cities, artists and creators are keeping these cultures alive.
On Culture Cove, let's explore,
Celebrate
And preserve the arts and culture that define us. We've been joined now by the CEO of Sea Solar, talking about Joshua Solomon. He's also an engineer. He's here to do justice to perhaps the more policy aspect and also the technical aspect of this discussion, which is local manufacturing of solar panels, batteries, and being driven by engineering. Welcome to the program. It's good to have
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank you so much.
All right. So let's start with talking about policies and things that are being put in place to ensure local manufacturing. Executive Order 5 is something that is very rampant, or something we say a lot when it comes to this particular issue. So we want to find out how that has an effect in all of this. So tell us, please, if you can break it down for us, because some people don't even know what it is, Executive Order 5.
All right. Thank you so much for having me. So Executive Order 5 was signed into law by the President. The aim and goal of that was to promote local content, right, and improve indigenous expertise across the STEM field, science, technology, engineering, scene. So the whole aim of this was for us to reduce our reliance, say, on foreign company entities, right, and organizations, and to make us more self-dependent, right? So it covers a lot, not just production and manufacturing. It covers, say, how contracts are to be awarded, prioritizing local expertise, prioritizing local products, right? So it covers a lot, and I think it was a step in the right direction, but there are still a lot of limitations, if you ask me, because if you're trying to get a local company to do a particular job, and you're trying to say there's a law saying you're going to have a local company, but that local company does not have the expertise, it doesn't have the qualifications, right, then you can't select that local company. You will still have to go for the foreign entity, right?
Okay.
So how do you solve that?
Well, there's a lot that needs to be done, right? I think in Nigeria we create very nice policy documents. We have very nice laws, but the implementation part of it, so it's not enough to just say select local companies, select local products. There needs to be things put in place that allows the local companies like ours and some other companies like to develop their expertise, right, and to provide these services, these solutions, right? So there is you can't compete with a country, say, that has been spending hundreds of millions of dollars on research and development by just writing an executive order, right? So you need to also invest money into research, into development.
Okay, so we often hear that we want to replace imported products with the locally made ones in order to reduce dependency on the imported ones and then increase self-reliance. So what should be done? Like, what are those strategies that Nigeria should take, or those policies that should be drafted out in order to make sure that we can produce our own solar batteries from start to finish? So
I think it still goes back to where I ended, right? So take China, for example. China has been investing in solar technology for a couple of years now, right? They started, sometimes they failed, and now they are the biggest manufacturers, right? Biggest producers of this technology. So we need to have investments into that. You go into universities, right, and you see them still stuck like in the past, in a way that these universities should be funding research. If you go to, say, some other countries, you see that there's a lot of money going into research in universities, right? So right from there, people are putting money into research, they're developing new technology, being innovative and the rest. So we need to spend a lot of money into research. If we haven't spent money in research, as we haven't currently, and we still want to be able to invest, we still want to be able to develop these technologies, then there has to be some sort of technology transfer, licensing, and other sort of things, because the people who have this technology, before they share it to you, obviously they have to get something back, because you're now going to be buying the ideas, the technology from them, getting it to them. So there has to be that sort of transaction, right? And what we've seen mostly is that a lot of nations that have gone far in new innovative technologies, they have like a sort of protection around that technology. Say whether it is military, whether it is energy, they don't just want to go sell it out to everybody because they know it's what makes them stand out. So the truth is, if we really want to be what we're saying we want to be in this document, right, we have to invest in research and development.
All right. Does this also solve the problem where you said you can say there's an executive order to make people to buy, but then if the company can't do it, then you might not want to buy them? Those companies, moving them from where they are, those organizations, to a place where they have global standards and all of that, what would that take without losing quality? Because that's the main thing here. So that when people say you must patronize or you must consider these people first, it's not just something you are doing out of morality, or you are doing it because even the thing you are being asked to patronize is actually worth it and is global standards. So what supports do those organizations need?
So I think I would just say, I'll start by saying, Cisola itself, right, is an indigenous company. We try to, as much as possible, go with local content, right? But we also do a lot of jobs, say, for international parties. And a lot of times there's a lot of requirements that is needed to be met. Say, for example, you want to buy a solar panel. Those solar panels have to go through various testing conditions. They are tested under heat condition, tested under cold condition, tested under numerous conditions, whether it is rain, water, sunshine. I want to share a story. We had an engagement with a local producer, right, some time back, So the stakeholder engagement, right, with different stakeholders in the sector. And we were trying to engage them to know how much of this testing they have succeeded on. They had gone far, but the amount of tests that, the foreign companies already have certifications for, our local manufacturers do not have this yet. They're working on it, and I wish the government supports them, in getting all this. But if I was bidding for a project, right, or I was doing a project and it had to meet all these conditions, it was impossible, to select the local manufacturer. So we need to have a lot of support to the local manufacturers, right?
All right, fair enough.
Okay, so how do we scale promising but small local manufacturers into national players without losing quality or affordability?
I think just to add to that, where do you see the biggest gaps here in terms of biggest job opportunities, because when we started this conversation, it was about the global supply chain, There are the local manufacturers, but then there will be possibly marketers. Even yourself, when you talk about your company, you also having to, get people into it and all of that. What are the gaps there, and what are the possible benefits that could come? I say this also because if you follow the beginning of the program, we talked about how developing nations can have raw materials which are taken away and then used to make these things, but then little to no actual manufacturing goes on in these actual developing nations.
Okay, so to answer your question, right, money is very important, right? Access to finance. So if we provide access to finance, say, for our local small-scale manufacturers, they will be able to scale. They will be able to grow their expertise, able to begin manufacturing products here that are of same quality as those manufactured in China or whatever country. So that's very, very good. There was a program held for standardization was this year, I think, where Standard Organization of Nigeria, tried to harmonize some of the certifications requirements, the standards, and the rest, right? So I think there's a lot of improvements, from Nigeria, because we do have very brilliant people. So the standards are there, and the certifications that are needed has been harmonized to a great extent, but there's a lot of funding that's still needed for us to be able to achieve, for those manufacturers, right, to be able to achieve their goal. It's true that a lot of communities do not necessarily benefit as much from the end goal, right, because they maybe are just mining, right? You see communities where products, raw materials are mined, but at the end of the day, the value of the products that is mined as against, say, the final product is very, very large, right? The difference. So I think we still need to put a lot in place, right? Because the people who are going to take the raw materials, they don't really have an obligation, right? Financial obligations to, do it here, right? If the technology is out there, they would keep on just taking raw materials and going. So we need to have the technology ourselves, right? And we can have, and I know the government is trying to do a lot of this, like have a lot of discussions with international agencies, and some different governments, right, to see how there can be some sort of transfer of technology and ideas, right? Mm-hmm. But at the long run, if you want to really do it, you have to do it yourself, because why would China actually just give you their technology, right? Mm.
Fair enough. Thank you so much for breaking it down and giving us a different perspective to this. It's been an enlightening one. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. That's how we round off this segment of the program. We will go on a break now. When we return, we'll delve into verified voices. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Every day,
Amazing stories of hope and tenacity unfold across the globe. On Hude Hour, we dive into these inspiring tales and discuss the vital work being done in the humanitarian and development space. Humanity has never faced a shortage of challenges, yet we rise stronger through teamwork and determination. Though these remedies are often underreported, on Hude Hour, we advocate sustainable solutions. We bring you the latest and most impactful news on how lives are being changed. We engage with young change makers and experts who provide valuable insights into relief efforts and the challenges faced by local communities through a global perspective. Join us every Wednesday by 8 a.m. on Hude Network's YouTube channel as we embark on this journey of positive change.
Culture connects us beyond borders. It's a bridge between traditions, creativity, and the future.
Culture is alive, shaping identities and communities every day.
Art tells stories of resilience and vision.
Artists blend tradition with innovation.
Cultural preservation creates sustainability and empowerment.
Culture evolves and adapts.
Music and dance unites communities through movement.
And right here, in the heart of our cities, artists and creators are keeping these cultures alive.
On Culture Cove, let's explore,
Celebrate
And preserve the arts and culture that define us. Welcome back. It's time for Verified Voices. We've been joined now by Paul Oladipupo. Paul, how are you doing now?
Hi, Paul.
Hi guys, it's everyone's favorite segment, the Red Voices. Okay,
For us.
it's been a very interesting conversation so far, talking about locally made manufacturing of solar batteries, panels, and it's been a very wonderful conversation and very productive, I must say. But let's take a look at what our Verified Voices are saying on this particular topic. We have the very first tweet from the Rural Electrification Agency. It says there that the renewable energy sector in Nigeria is at a critical phase, the scale-up phase where the Rural Electrification Agency, REA, is strengthening efforts on utilities scale renewable projects, also utility-enabled generation, local manufacturing, strategic partnership for sustainable impact, and optimization of data-driven decision-making for investment opportunities. The objective is to strengthen the renewable energy sector and provide clean, sustainable energy to millions of underserved and underdeserved Nigerians. It's actually a very robust one there, talking about collaborations, partnership with everyone that is in the sector, with the one goal to ensure that everyone has a very good source and also had access to electricity, basically. And it's very interesting to see that now we're even looking inwards. And I think that's what continent like Asia has done long before now, looking inward to see how they can solve their own problems with things that they can find in their environment. And that is what we're doing now. We're getting to that phase, recognizing the need to see the problem within, fix it within, without having to get help from outside. Basically, and it's very interesting to me. But one of the things I also would love to see is if the pricing of all of these things, if they are locally made, hope it won't be so much, because usually when things are locally made, most of the time they are always on the high side compared to having to import, basically. So people will prefer to import. So it would be nice to see that even after they are produced, the price is cost effective so that people don't have to import these same products that we can produce locally here.
Yeah.
Fair enough. You make a great point there. And for me, I think also it's in how long it will take to move from assembling to full-on manufacturing. Let's see what that takes.
Yeah, and speaking of within too, I think the angle of unserved and underserved, that's the people in the rural areas, should also have access to it, because that particular angle you talked about, cost effective, is very, very important, because you can't be a producing nation and the people in the nation cannot still access it. What's the point of it?
Well, I would want to shake a table now, but let's quickly take the next verified voice quickly right there. From this one is actually very more interesting. We're talking about how most of the things are being imported from China. This is from Willis. It says that wind turbines and solar panels are made in China. We are never going to be able to build them cost effectively. However, we could build #nuclear here. Most of the cost is civil construction, which goes to the local economy. We can also manufacture locally. Nuclear is a good choice. This is just, I'm looking on the brighter side again, that talking about how, this is not even in Africa, funny enough, but it's talking about even right there as well. They also have to import from China as well and have to assemble and do all of those things at the end of the day. But it's just time. I think everyone's realizing that it's time that we try to just look inward instead of looking outward for solutions.
Yeah.
Indeed, we've run out of time now. I wish we could go on.
Thank you, Paul.
It's been interesting. Thank you, Paul, for joining us.
You're welcome.
And to what he said, there's also something available to them, because not everyone has that option of nuclear, but it's interesting to see the different angles that could come out of it. But that's our round of the program for today on local manufacturing. We do hope we've proffered some solutions and the way forward to ensuring that we ramp up efforts to get it done. See you next time. Bye for now. I am Amadine Obewe.
Thank you so much for joining us. I am Joan Eze. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.